Thank you, Administrator, for that opening statement. I'll start off by saying I was pleased that the Supreme Court reined in the EPA with a Sackett decision on the Waters of the United States rule, a rule that has been changing, and no one seems to be able to come up with a final rule that we're going to be using. The decision narrowed what the waters are what waters are federally regulated under the Clean Water Act. I have long been concerned that the Biden administration's definition of federal waters are overly broad and took control away from the states. I was also concerned, in fact, a lot of people don't understand that just if the EPA doesn't control the waters, the states regulate the waters. It's not that they're unregulated, it's that the states regulate them. And the overbroad rule that was written by the EPA takes that power away from the states in many cases. I was also concerned that the impact of the rule on farmers, business developers, and even property owners, and I'm glad that the Supreme Court provided needed clarity on this issue. But now the agency needs to do its part to appropriately implement the court's decision. There are 27 states, including Idaho, under the injunction. The remaining states are operating under the Waters of the United States conforming rule. In both cases, the agency says it will implement the definition of WOTUS consistent with Sackett. But I've heard a lot of questions and concerns about implementation, and I know you have too, which, by the way, I hope you will commit to substantially responding to the letters you've received from the regulated community. Questions? How many requests have been submitted to the agency for a jurisdictional determination since the conforming rule was finalized in September, and how many of those have been approved? I understand that many of the requests are being elevated to headquarters for a decision. What percentage of the requests are being elevated, and how long are those reviews taking? And finally, what guidance is the EPA staff using to make jurisdictional determinations under both the pre-2015 framework and the conforming rule? Aside from what is already public on your website, are there other guidance documents or memos that have been issued or that you are planning to issue, and can you make those documents public so that the regulated parties can understand how you are implementing WOTUS?
Well, thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. And yes, this has been an issue that has ping-ponged for a number of years, decades. I will say this, that I committed to following the science and following the law when I took this role. And when the Sackett case was, the decision came from the Supreme Court, that is no different. We are following the law. The Sackett decision was very prescribed, and so we issued guidance quickly after issuing our revised rule last fall, and continue to work with the Army Corps to be sure that we are following the implementation desires of the Supreme Court. What I will say is, with the finalization of that rule in 2023, the Army Corps of Engineers has resumed issuing jurisdictional determinations that were previously paused in light of the Sackett decision. We've codified the clarifications, codified and clarified exclusions in support of farmers like prior converted cropland, and for ranchers like the artificial ponds used for drinking water. So there were a lot of good things that were preserved as well. What I can do is circle back with you on the specific number of requests that we've received and what those percentages look like. But I can tell you that there is agreement, whether it's in our regional offices or headquarters, that we are following the prescribed direction of the Supreme Court and want to ensure that we provide certainty to our states as soon as possible.
Thank you, and I would appreciate circling back on that with us.